Compound interest, which is the most common type of interest you would get from like a bank or anything. And we're going to try to look at the future and the present value all within one formula. So we have this formula. It's usually written as A is equal to P multiplied by 1 plus I to the power of N. Okay. So what do these all mean? We should probably write it out. A is usually they call it an amount. Okay. But it's also the future amount, okay? And that's what's important to remember. We're talking about some amount in the future after you've earned the interest. Mm-hmm. P, they will usually call principal. I think it's PAL or PLE. I can't remember which one.
PAL.
AL, good. Okay, principal. And it's also, you can think of it as the present amount of money that you have, okay? I is an interest rate that's calculated. Okay, so it's calculated by the actual interest rate divided by the compound period. So we should write what those things are there. C is compound period. I think they have that for you guys. Mm-hmm. R is technically the interest. The interest on the account, or the interest rate, I guess.
I think they use N instead for us.
Do they? Okay, so let's call it N.
Yeah. Because it says number of investment periods.
No, that'll be a little different. Yeah, so that's good. Let's break that down. And again, you can call it variable anything you want, right? And then YR we'll call years. So what that means is this I and this N are actually calculations from this information here. We'll talk about how you get that information. Okay. So the I, the interest rate, is actually whatever the interest rate is divided by our compounding period. And the N, the number of periods, is actually the compounding periods times the number of years you leave it invested for. Okay. And I should have written. So we have a little question here. Gabriel makes $3,600 a year. So he wants to invest in a company that has a return rate of 5% compounded monthly. And that's usually more of a bank rate, but we'll try to tie it to like investing. Okay. So he can invest in this company, and they say they return 5% compounded monthly on whatever your original investment is. And we're going to say he's going to invest for, let's say 4 years. Okay, kind of should have written that in there. So we need to make some distinctions. We have an A, a P, an I, an N, and then technically an R, a C, and a YR. So there's actually a ton of variables to figure out. Now, again, I and N are calculated from these. The R is whatever the interest rate is. So what do we say the interest rate was going to be in this account here?
5%.
Yeah, great. So 5%. And we have to make that a decimal.
So 0.05.
Perfect.
5.
Yeah. How many years did we say this guy was going to invest for?
4.
4. Great. So that's going to be our YR, our years here. Our compound period. What was the compound period in this question? Maybe we'll pick it up.
A year.
It happens over the course of a year, but it happens so many times over the course of a year. And it says it right at the end here. Actually.
Monthly, so it happens.
Yeah. How many times a year is monthly?
We got, I think it's 12. It's 12 times. It was 12 times a year. I was trying to calculate for the 4 years.
Oh, okay. 12. Yeah, you're right. So it's 12 for compound period. And then this can be really interchanged with a lot of different words. You have your semi-annual, which would be twice a year. You have your annual, which is once a year. You can have weekly, which is 52 times a year. And then they even have things like bi-weekly, accelerated bi-weekly. There's tons. But these are the most common ones that you would use in terms of, should fix that 5.
Semi-annually is half a month?
It would be, every 6 months. So
every 6, okay, half a year.
Half a year, yeah. Okay, so now we got that information. We got to pick out from this question. A is the future amount. Do we know what that is in this question? No. So that's what we're trying to find. The principal or the present amount of money that he has to invest.
$3,600.
Yeah, $3,600. Okay, so I is something we're going to calculate. I is the interest rate. Okay, so I'll kind of write it out here. R over C. So that means we have 0.05 divided by 2. I think it'll give us but double check it, 0.025.
0.0, yeah.
Great. And then N is, like we said, it's our compound period times the number of years. So there's 4 years times those 12. Okay, so we have 12 by 4 should give us 48. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Great. So what that's saying is you're going to accrue interest 48 times before you take the money out or before this investment is done. Think of it like he has to lock it in for 4 years, whatever the investment is. So now that we've...
Just sorry, quickly. For this here, because this is 12 and that's 2, is it just because we were doing...
you're 100% right. That should have been 12. Thank you for pulling that out. So that changes this very much. You're right. The compound period is 12, which gives us a much different interest rate. What does it give us?
It gives us 0.00416 repeated.
All right, I'm going to write it out here because it's going to be hard for me to see from there. All right, so 2 zeros and a 416 we'll round it to. So 0.12416. Okay, good thing you noticed that. Good. Yeah, you're right. The compound period should be the same in both of those formulas. Okay, so now we go to plug it all in. So our A value is what is unknown. The principal, write it all out one more time so we can see how we plug stuff in. The principal is our 3,600. Okay, 3,600. The A is unknown. We're trying to figure that out. 1 plus the interest rate is 0.00416, and again we rounded-ish to that. And then our end value was 48. Okay, and a lot of times you can usually skip this step because your interest rate, it very quickly turns 1 and then whatever the heck that thing is there. Okay, 48 times our 3,600, and then this is something you can probably plug directly into a calculator and get the rest. So let's try doing that all. 1.00416. And actually, you know what I'm going to do instead of putting that? I'm going to show you how in your calculator you could have actually plugged in the original. You could have had in brackets 1 plus, and then in brackets again, we had 0.05 divided by 12. So this is going to be an even more accurate answer because I'm plugging it in from the beginning. Okay, I'm going to put that to the power of 48. So what that is instead of doing the rounding, I left the fractional answer in there, so it gets very, very accurate when we do it. So obviously there's the value. And then whatever that is, we're going to multiply it by 3,600.
So mine was straight 1 when I did it.
You're missing a set of brackets in there.
Oh, yeah.
So I take this value again, and then I'm going to, I should put it in brackets. Whoops.
Yeah, I didn't see that bracket after though.
So we put a set of brackets, and then we multiply by 3,600, and boom. So $3,495.22. So the amount in the future is 4,000, and I already forgot. 4,395. What was it? Let's guess. 4232. What the heck was that number? Oh, it's over here. 22.
Close.
Close there. Okay, so if he were to invest in this company, he'd expect in 4 years in his account to have $4,395.23. So that was technically only future value. But instead of going into present value, let's actually look at another idea. What if they asked you how much interest did he earn from this? How would we take this information and solve it? Do you know what we would do?
We would go back into the plug back up into the original formula for this one.
Let's think about how much money he started with. Because when we're talking about interest earned, we're talking about what he started with. Yeah, exactly, and what he ended with. So we have the 4,395.22. And if we subtract what he originally started with, this will tell us how much interest he earned in this account over the course of 4 years. So actually it's right there. I don't need to. There it is. Subtract 3600. And we get 79522. So $795.22. So over 4 years, he earned that much interest. So if you ever get interested in investing money, there you go. In 4 years, you can have a decent amount of money from that.